2 previous owners, the first being the CEO of Tate and Lyle. What's that white powder, mate? Sugar? Come off it. Question, what is Britain's cheapest brand new car right now? Answer, it's the Dacia Sandero. £6,995 brand new, an absolute bargain. You should go out and get one, really. Or should you? Maybe not, you see, because I spend a lot of my time these days trapped in this room browsing the Auto Trader website, and I can tell you for a fact that for £6,995 there are some incredible, exciting alternatives to the Dacia Sandero that you can pick up for around 7 grand. And today I want to talk you through a few of my favorites. Right, let's get into search, make, Audi, model, S8, and there's only one below budget, but this is what I'm talking about. Now, like all S8s, this is all about understated brutality. It might look like your granddad's runabout, I know, but underneath all of that, nothing is a 5.2 litre V10. None of this V8 nonsense like you get in the new car. V10. And by the way, do you know where this V10 comes from? The 2nd generation Lambo Gallardo. That's where. And this knocks out 450 horsepower. It'll do 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. It's limited to 155 miles an hour, although I'm pretty convinced that it will go a hell of a lot faster because the Lambo could reach 202 miles an hour, for God's sake. Okay, this car in particular is quite a high miler, 150,000 miles. And when you're getting so much car for so little money, you kind of have to ask questions about whether it's going to fall apart. And some of the repair bills on these cars can be quite savage. For example, apparently you have to actually remove the entire engine just to replace the starter motor. Right, enough of that. What if you want something that's a bit less subtle? Something that has a bit more style, a bit more swagger to it? Well, if that's the case, then you might want to consider a Grand Tourer. And one of the best on the used market might just be the BMW 650i. Now, when this car was brand new, it cost around £50,000. These days, 7 grand. Okay, now finding the specific BMW 650i that you want might be a bit tricky because it's quite a niche car. So what I do is I go into BMW for the make, then for the model, I go into 6 Series. And after that, I go and set my price because I know I've got a budget of 7K. And then while I do that, I also then drop down some model variant and hit 650i. Now this will give me cars that fit that brief. Then I sort by price, highest, and then I work my way backwards. And there's a couple of stonkers right here. Yes, I'll take this. Oh, that one at the top looks good, doesn't it? AC Schnitzer replica. Oh my day, look at the wheels. Oh, and this is 7 grand. Do you know what? Apart from the fact that the boot, the bangle butt, dates this car a little bit. They could release this car today and it would still look fresh. Absolutely stunning. Don't know if you're into convertibles, but yeah, 6,999, that's great. Then below that, you've got a coupe, which again looks brilliant, doesn't it? This has all the ingredients of being a good Grand Tourer. Big engine, check. 4.8 litre V8, making over 360 horsepower. Speed, check. 155 flat out. 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds. Rear wheel drive, check. Big nasty donuts all day long. This one has the iDrive system, which was notoriously complicated to use, but it looks like it's in good nick as well. Only done 85,000 miles in 16 years. Right, so a lot of the cars I'm showing you are on the older side, but what if you're looking for something that wasn't made in the Stone Age? You might think it's a bit tricky at that price point, but actually it's not, because I found a couple of really cool ones, starting with the Abarth 595. Now, when this came out, it cost around 15 to 18,000 pounds, but nowadays you can pick one up that's only 4 years old for Dacia Sandero money. Check this out. I used to own a Fiat 500. I love Fiat 500s. Not an Abarth, it was a normal 500 and I really liked it. And I've always been quite intrigued by the Abarth 595, so let's go check one out. I'll scroll down here. What do we got? Oh, that grey is nice, isn't it? This blue one, that's funky as hell. Let's click on that. Yes, this colour's amazing. Shout out to whoever took these photos. Very arty. It's got 17-inch wheels, Recaro seats. It's only had one owner. Someone who apparently traded in his car for a different car. But yeah, man, that's nice. Obviously, you won't get a big engine here, but the 1.4 litre turbo makes 140 brake, which is good for okay performance. But if you want a bit more power, then you want to go for the Turismo version, which makes 160, or the competition version, which makes 177. And then there's a 695 Biposto, which is closer to 190. So this is the baby of the babies. But what a fun little car, man. What a cool color as well. Yeah, 595, definitely worth a look. Right, so Mercedes released the S63 and showed the world that saloon cars could be utterly unhinged 1 minute and then utterly luxurious the next. Problem is, if you wanted one of those, you were looking at £100,000. Nowadays, they cost around the 12 grand mark, so you might be thinking that that kind of experience is a bit out of our 7K budget. Nah. You see, you can go a step down and look for the S600. This is an absolute gem. So that one says 367 horsepower. That's not what we want, mate. Nah, sorry. But here, look, Mercedes S-Class S600. That is the one. Now, I've just read the first line of the description, and this is a great example of the gems you can find on Auto Trader, right? Look at this. 2 previous owners, the first being the CEO of Tate and Lyle, all right? The sugar company. Nice. Now, what you need to know about this car is that it's got a secret weapon, because underneath that bonnet is something very, very special. Most cars of this type would use a V8, but not this bad boy. Ah, come on, Mr. Tate and Lyle didn't take a picture under the bonnet. Outrageous. Anyway, look, here's a badge that's kind of slightly peeling off. That'll do. Look, V12, 5.5 litres of fury. Look, so some things in life you need. Some things in life are nice to have, and then there are some things that are completely unnecessary. This is completely unnecessary. This was back when they were bringing rocket launchers to gunfights. The guy who owned this car was obviously the daddy, the sugar daddy. There's no bigger sugar daddy than the CEO of Tate and Lyle. Goodness only knows the kind of activities that must have gone down in this car. What's that white powder, mate? Sugar? Come off it. Oh, it is sugar. Incidentally, I'm going to add this to my favorites. Just click that little heart button down there. Revisit that for later. All right, that's enough of those giant barges for 1 minute. Let's have a look at some sports cars. And if you are a car guy or a car girl, you probably know the words that I'm about to say right now, right? Yeah. Porsche Boxster. Thought I was gonna say Cayman, didn't you? Nah, I'm a Boxster man myself, and I found some really good examples. Have a look at this. I don't like the whole fried egg vibe with the headlights on the 986. The 987 second gen is much more up my street. So let me go back to results. Yes, this is what I'm talking about. Sleek, modern looking. This was before they introduced the 4-cylinder Boxster, so it's a flat 6, good for 245 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 6, 160 miles an hour. Not a lot of pictures on this one for some reason, but I can tell that this car has been looked after. I mean, look where the geezer lives. Look how clean he keeps his driveway. Like the floor, I mean, there's a bit of dust, but look at those bricks. The brickwork is, mwah, eat your dinner off that. I've got a theory actually. This is a private seller and they haven't bothered to list hardly any information on the car. It just says nobody smoked in it or carried pets in it. This person's priority is keeping things clean. There's no mention of how big the wheels are, what options the car has, nothing. All right, they're probably not even a petrol head. So this car, I guarantee you it's not been spanked. Bound to be good. Don't take my word for it. I'm throwing it out there. Add that to favorites. Bosh. But hang on a second. You see, if you buy a Boxster, then you're not really going to stand out, are you? No, everyone has one. But you know what everyone doesn't have? That's right, a rally car. And for 7 grand, the price of a Dacia Sandero, you can pick up a Subaru Impreza WRX that will have you looking like Colin McRae in these streets. Have a look at these. So let's break this down. There are a few versions of the Impreza. Let's throw a cap on the budget, 7 grand. We don't want to get carried away. And then we're going to order by highest price first, so that we know that we are bang on budget. And what you get is a bunch of 3rd generation cars that show up. You can actually get 3rd gens for 7K. But that's not what I'm after. I want the 2nd gen from model year 02 onwards. Now, interestingly, there was the standard WRX and the WRX STI. The STI version is the one you want, ideally, because it's got more power. But here's how you do it. You type STI into the old keywords. And then, bosh, there you go. This one's automatic. No, thank you. As long as I am blessed with the gift of a left foot, I will not buy an automatic Impreza. This one's a Japanese import. But then, there we go. What you want is the one that says Type UK on it. And we've got one right here. Yes. Now, there's a couple. This one's in traditional blue and gold colors. Hold up. There's a panel close-up. Panel close-up, you know what that means. Whenever anyone takes a close-up of a panel, that means that it's been dented or scratched or there's something horrible going on there. It's not too bad, actually, but we'll move on to the next ad. Now, Imprezas are famous for that big rear wing, and this guy, you can tell he's a max power guy. He's from that generation. Salute to him. He's thrown an extra rear wing on the car. That one wing wasn't enough. So he's chucked that in. What else has he done? You know he's done other work. You know it. There we go. There's lights in the footwell. Yeah, extra boost. Is that an extra boost gauge? Looks like it. I'm not sure that's standard. And then a Kenwood stereo. I bet I know why he's selling it as well. This is so predictable. I can see it. Yeah, selling due to new baby and need a car that my partner can drive. Otherwise, it will be kept as it's in real condition for its age, and I'll be sad to see her go. You can tell. Someone who's done that much work on a car is not just going to flog it on Auto Trader unless he's got a good reason. Yeah. R.I.P. childhood dreams, buddy. R.I.P. Okay, next up has to be a BMW M3, right? You can't have a used performance car list without an M3. Well, actually, you're wrong. You see, the problem with the M3 is that you're not going to pick up a really good example for £7,000. They've all been spanked, they've all been thrashed, they've all had a hard, abusive relationship with their owners. So repair bills are going to be an absolute nightmare. Forget maintenance, you're going to be spending a lot of money on an M3. However, there is another BMW 3 Series that might just be the smart choice. Check this out. Now there's a couple of good ones in here, right? You could get yourself a 330i, 330ci is also a peach, but what we want is the 335i. Now let me try and track this down, 335. There we go. There's 114 of them, and then we're gonna throw a cap on the budget like we always do. And then we order by price highest. What do we have? Instantly, you get a 3 Series 330 M Sport. He's chucked a sticker on, an engine sticker. Yeah, you can tell that he loves his car, this one. He's given it a little shampoo there to show he looks after it. Inside looks clean. It's got racing seats. Yeah, I'm starting to think that this one's been ragged around a fair bit as well, just from the racing seats and the number plate. Downpipes, intakes, alloy radiator. He says he's got enough parts here to make this a 500 to 700 horsepower car with a big single turbo. Right, I feel like we need a proper hot hatch in this list. And when you think of hot hatches from the last 10 years or so, then for me, there's one that springs to mind, the Ford Focus RS. Only problem is they're expensive. However, there is an alternative to the Ford Focus RS Mark II that I think might be an even better shout, the Megane RS 250. All right, now a lot of people underestimate the Megane RS 250 because back in the day, the Focus RS Mark II was making 300 horsepower. This thing was apparently 50 horsepower down. If you try and buy a Mark II Focus RS now, you're gonna pay 15 grand, easy. But the Megane was actually the better handling car. And even though it was down on power, it was actually lighter, which meant that you could actually keep up with cars like the RS, both on the straight actually and in the bends. This one here is 6499, quite high on the old miles, but full service history, alarm, cruise control, wicked alloys. I love those. Only looks like it's 2 years old. The cool thing about these as well is that it came with Perfo Hub. Nope, that's not some dodgy website, by the way. It's a system that reduces torque steer a bit like the Ford Revo knuckle on the RS. Plus, I think these things look more classy than the Focus RS. Actual bargain. Okay, speaking of right old bargains, the next car I'm going to show you used to cost £100,000 back in 1970. Yeah, I said 1970. We're going way back on this one. And these days, you can pick them up for around £7,000. It is the Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow. Yeah, time for a bit of class. Okay, I'm going to be straight with you. I haven't found one for under 7 grand, but I did find one for 8.5. Just under 8.5, which is a teeny weeny bit more, but I make the rules in this. and that means I can break them from time to time. There we go. Look at this. It's a 1970 J-Reg. She's an old girl, but I love the design. Really cool headlights. It looks like they murdered a blue sheep. The engine, though, is a big old unit, 6.8 litre V8. But get this, it only makes 189 horsepower. But this was back in the 70s. V8s were pretty lazy back then. And also, I'll keep it real with you. This is probably going to be a bit of a money pit. But come on, a Rolls-Royce. And actually, cast your mind back. I don't know if some of you used to watch Top Gear a couple of seasons ago. And basically, I went for a Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow, and I turned it into a racing car. It had bucket seats in it and purple camouflage. It was mint. It was absolutely mint. I switched the RR logo, so it was actually my initials. Terrible race car, but it looked great. Okay, for my final car, let's go out with a bang. Not literally, I hope, because it is a TVR. It is a lesser known model. It's not the Tasman, it's not the Chimera, it's not the Tuscan. This happens to be the S3. Now, this was released in the early 90s as a cheap way to get a TVR badge. And it's a classy, stylish, retro looking package that a lot of people might not have heard of. But today, I want to show it to you because I think it's pretty cool. Check this out. Actually, let's just check out the market on TVRs before we dive into the S3. Some of you might not be that familiar with them at this stage, so let's just cycle through and see what's going on. Tuscan, if we order that by highest price, you're looking at £45,000. And then let's go into Sagaris, £79,000. Sagaris. Chimera, 21 grand. Sabera, £18,000. You can see they're expensive. Tamora, 28,000. Nice colors. And then we got the T350, 36 grand. Expensive cars, and that's because they're really highly sought after. The Griffith, 24 grand, and then 350i, which is an older shape. A bit Mazda-esque, isn't it? About 9,950. So the S3 is, in my opinion, going to be one of your best bets, one of your cheapest bets to get your hands on a TVR. Yes, this is what we want. Click on that. And it looks a bit like almost like a Triumph and an MG and a Porsche had a three-way head-on collision. In a good way though, in a good way, because it kind of works. It kind of works. The bonnet scoops there. It's got the muscular haunches. Ooh, that interior looks like the wrinkled palm of your great-grandmother's hand after she spent an hour in the bath. Now, the engine's a 2.9 litre V6 that came from a Ford Granada, I believe. 160 horsepower. The whole thing weighs about 980 kilos. It's light. 0 to 60 in 7.5 seconds. It's a sports car. As for reliability, I mean, these old engines were pretty bulletproof from what I know. And you're never going to see a rusty TVR on the outside because they're fiberglass. Just make sure you check underneath because the chassis is made of steel and they'll rust like a good one. All right, guys, so those are my top picks for interesting used cars you can buy for the price of Britain's cheapest new car. There's something there for everyone too. Luxury, sports, hot hatches, a potential wedding car. Let me know which one of my picks you prefer, or if you go for something else altogether, or maybe you just want to keep the Dacia. Maybe you're one of those people. Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and we'll see you again on the next one. Peace.